No spoilies! No spoilies!
Welcome back, my lovelies. Today, once again, we're continuing the Fallout 4 crossbow run that I've been doing. When we last left off, we just killed Kellogg in, like, 3 shots, if you somehow missed that little achievement of mine. I was on drugs at the time, though. My character, not the real me. Anyway, Kellogg is dead, and I just returned to Diamond City to talk to Nick about where we should go from here. Obviously, I know where we should go from here. I've played this game many times because I have a problem. Anyway, let's continue that problem and just get into it. As I said, I returned to Diamond City to speak to Valentine and to inform him that our primary suspect in my son's kidnapping came down with a nasty case of shot in the head. Nick gets an idea after hearing Kellogg's brains were blown out, and so we're headed to Goodneighbor to invade the memories of a dead man using a lump of his brain that I was just, for some reason, willing to take. So I fast travel to Goodneighbor, take a quick aside to paint some of my armour, because why not, then head inside the memory den to see Dr. Amari. I'm plugged into a machine, I get to experience the memories of the man who murdered my hubby and stole my baby, and then emerge with a lead that'll take us into the glowing sea, as is the way. I'm feeling pretty on a roll, so I immediately plan my way to the glowing sea. I'll head to Diamond City and walk from there because that's the closest location. On my way I snipe a mean-looking radstag, and then get savaged by a group of ill-tempered roaches. Reaching the glowing sea, I decide to not fuck around and just head inside, taking a dose of Radex first, obviously. Not long into my trip, I'm attacked by a pair of blood bugs, and whilst killing them, I hit level 13. Once I'm done killing the bugs, I take the next rank of gun nut. Further in, I meet a rad scorpion, but I'm not looking for new friends, so it has to die too. Shortly after, I see a large group of feral ghouls, and I initially plan to avoid them, but then I give in to my need to do video game murder. Sorry, that just really amused me. With the ghouls dead, I make my way to the big hole where the Atom Kiddies hang out and get directions to Virgil. I see the Deathclaw sleeping outside his cave and decide to see if I can kill it without it noticing me. I cannot. However, what is thanks to either brilliant strategic thinking or cowardice on my part, you decide, I am able to deal a decent amount of damage before the bastard finally figures out where the ouchy sticks are coming from. When he does finally approach my perch, I drop down and head straight into the cave and wait until the thing tells me that I'm hidden again. Though I do move away from the entrance because I'm terrified that it might follow me through. I speak to Virgil while I'm in here and get the Kill the Corsa quest, only now starting to think that Corsa is kind of a dumb name for a thing, then head back outside, and the Deathclaw is back where it was sleeping originally, so I spend the next few minutes ducking in and out of the cave to finish it off with my crossbow. I mean, of course, with my crossbow, it's a crossbow run. I don't know why I felt the need to qualify that. You can see what weapon I'm using. With Cuddles dead, I can now track down a Corsa. On my way, I kill a group of raiders and stop to cook up some meat because only a novice goes to an assassination without ample snack supplies. Once I reach the building where a wild Corsa can be found, I head on in and begin fighting my way through the army of gunners. It went pretty well, until it didn't. I know what you're thinking, I should have healed. Respawning, I managed to avoid the same grisly fate as last time. In fact, the rest of the trip up the tower from this point on was basically a cakewalk. I even hit level 14 whilst I'm fighting. With my new point, I decided to take the first rank of Lone Wanderer. It was pretty useful when I did the undie run given how much it buffs a solo player, so I figure, what the hell. Sadly, I couldn't scrap the bot in only 3 bolts like I'd done with Kellogg earlier, but the fight itself doesn't go anywhere near as horrifically as it did last time. Last time, of course, I was doing my undie run, so naturally I had the armour of an Astra Militarum guardsman and about the same life expectancy. Oh, that reminds me, I need to see what other Warhammer 40k mods I can get for this game on Xbox. I got an Adeptus Sororitas one that was badass, and I now kind of want to see what other ones there are. I'm kind of hoping there's a guardsman one. Maybe one that replaces the gunners with guardsmen, because that'd be pretty boss. Also, they tend to die about the same rate, so it would be rather fitting. Honestly, this Corsa fight wasn't anywhere near as interesting as I wanted it to be. I was basically just pelting him with bolts for ages until he finally died. There weren't really any good moments where he had me utterly on the ropes. It was kind of just me hovering around 50% HP and him occasionally getting a shot off because he staggered every time I hit him in the face with a bolt, which was surprisingly often given the fact that he was invisible. Either way, he's dead, I steal his chip, I take my leave, it's back to Good Neighbour to get told Amari can do nothing with the chip, and now it's off to find the railway children. I fast travel to Bunker Hill as it's relatively nearby and head to the church they're hiding out in from there. Once again, I'm avoiding downtown Boston and the crashes it brings. Inside, I clear out the ghouls, I crack the world's least secure password, and come face to face with Desdemona and the railroad. I agree to give her the chip if she agrees to get it decoded for me and give me all the data. I then return to Virgil, who's sketched up some plans for a signal interceptor that we need to break into the Institute, and now it's time to start talking alliances. So far in these runs, I've sided with the Brotherhood of Steel and the Institute, so I think this time the choice is already clear. Take the third and final faction, and if you try to correct me, then you are a liar and you're wrong, and you deserve to be condemned to walk a desert of Lego barefoot whilst being pursued by horny honey badgers. Anyway, we're taking the railroad. Before they'll help us build the signal interceptor, they want us to do some work for them. Bit weird given their whole mission and stance on the Institute, etc. But anyway, I agree, and before I know it, I'm meeting the man Deacon by a collapsed overpass to run an op. He's in disguise, but luckily I have this rare medical condition that lets me see people's names hovering in midair beside them. It also makes me catch fire from time to time, but that's a whole separate thing. If you're familiar with this mission, then you'll know that this first bit is a bit of a drag. We're just up here to meet one of Deacon's contacts who has information about some synths that hit the previous railroad HQ. There were a few ferals on the way though, so it wasn't all bad. We speak to the dude using the least convincing passphrase.
Oh, thank God. You have a Geiger counter?
Mine is in the shop.
Like, seriously, who would that even fool? He gives us the information about the synths currently occupying the location and sends us on our way. We speak to Deacon, devise a plan about how to get inside, and before I know it, I'm crawling through yet another poo pipe. Also, if you're wondering, we're here at the former HQ place of the railroad to retrieve a device for a scientist. I wasn't actually listening, so I can't remember all the details. As I'm still the worst at sneaking, we end up in a gunfight with the unit of synths that are patrolling underground. Whilst we're killing them, I hit level 15, and once all the bodies have fallen, I take the first rank of local leader, because I just remembered I'm also doing settlement stuff. Once we get inside, there are yet more synths to kill, and to my surprise, I'm actually able to score some VATS headshots in Fallout 4. I guess the game saw me talking smack about it in my comments section of the last video and didn't like being called out. Once they're all dead, we get the device, and Deacon tries to give me a dead dude's gun. I accidentally closed the screen too quickly, but it's the deliverer if you don't know, and it's not something I could use because it's not a crossbow. Sorry, Deacon, you saboteur. Anyway, we exit through a secret door that leads us to an old cafe, shoot our way past the turrets and the synths that are waiting for us, and Deacon walks into a landmine like the clever clogs he is. Then again, I walked into my front door a few days ago because I forgot to open the thing, so who am I to judge? We report back to Desdemona, and she finally agrees to help me breach the Institute, and I in turn agree to help them secure a new safe house. Besides, I was going to need somewhere to build the interceptor, and God knows I wasn't going to do it at the Red Rocket. That's my home. I pop over to the Taffington boathouse, where the safe house is to be established, and begin clearing out the bugs that have made their home here. And can we just take a moment to agree that giant mosquitoes like this in real life would be fucking terrifying? I already refuse to go to bed in a room that has a slightly larger than average spider hiding in it somewhere, so I don't know how I'd live in the wasteland. Probably poorly. The blood bugs were pretty feisty. Have they always been this big and done this much damage? Eventually I clear out the hostiles and immediately set to work building the signal interceptor. Luckily the settlement had all the parts I'd need, because what's a pre-war boathouse without 9 metric tons of raw sci-fi parts? I go back to Tom for the rest of the blueprints because this quest is nothing if not an utter fucking drag, and then I pop home quickly to see how my plucky little settlement is doing for itself. Whilst I'm here, I set up what will be my future gun shop. I do some trading with Cricket, who's passing through. I do a bit of decorating because I'm easily distracted when doing the building stuff in Fallout 4. I then hook up my soon-to-be gun shop with power. I also name it the Daka Hut because Warhammer reference. I like Warhammer, did that come across yet? Not gonna lie, quite happy with how this little shack turned out. As I'm adding the final touches of decoration, I hit level 16 and immediately take the next rank of local leader so that I can quickly install my new weapons merchant, and that is the very first thing I do with the perk. I'm now a very happy little MB. With that done, I step into my now open for business gun shop and trade with the besooted weapons merchant. I shall name him Tim. Tim even had 12 whole bolts for his mayor. Good boy, Tim. I'll fetch you a pack of fancy lads when I'm out scavenging. The cakes, I mean, you know, unless hookers are easier. We'll see. I head back to the boathouse to finish assembling the interceptor, and once I'm done setting up the nation's worth of power this thing will need, I'm ready to be teleported. Desdemona offers me a little bit of a pep talk and then tells me to find her inside man Patriot, and in a flash, I'm gone.
Save them.
Once inside, I get to Father, the director of the Institute, and he reveals that he is our missing baby, just a bit older. We discuss things for a bit, and then he lets me wander loose in his high-tech facility that he really shouldn't let just any random pleb have free reign of. I mean, as bad as I feel for the betrayal I'm gonna do later, he's kind of asking for it, isn't he? I meet the department heads, charming bunch really, and one of them gives me my very own Corsa chip that will allow me to teleport in and out of the Institute. Like, seriously, that's such a bad move. Like, oh my god. Anyway, I teleport home and build some more crossbow bolts, which nets me enough XP to hit level 17, and I take the next rank of Sneak. I sort of hang around home for a while. In this time I build a little shop for a general trader, because it's always good to have one of those, and I hook it up to the power so I can see how colourful its sign is. Look at that, it's all colourful. I then build an extra house for future settlers and make them a little clinic, because not everyone has the power of the goddess of death and can come back from the dead. There, that should get some settlers' attention. I quickly pop to Lexington to look for some ceramic for some new power nodes I want to build, and decide whilst I'm in town I'll decimate the raiders who have reclaimed it. I then pop back home to try and trade for some bolts. Unfortunately, Tim hasn't got any. You bastard. I then head towards Concord looking for the stuff I needed. Ceramic, that's it. I then head to Concord looking for the ceramic, and am ambushed by a rather large gang of raiders. You're a bit late to help, guys. I search the buildings but come up with only a single ashtray, which won't provide enough of the ceramic I need, but, you know, it's better than nothing. I then head back to Lexington, remembering that there's an old folks' home there that usually has some vases in it, and I'm delighted to find some ripe for the taking. I head home to use the new bits to make the power connectee parts that I need to light up my clinic, and amusingly enough I see that a travelling doctor has stopped by my settlement. After we've done a little bit of trading, I get my character to bed for some much needed shut-eye, only when we wake up, the game crashes. Go jerk off in a lake, Fallout 4. Loading back in, I decide that napping isn't something that my gal needs right now, so I avoid the bed and figure I'll give some of the raider armour that I looted in Concord to one of my settlers. Before I can, though, he tells me that his friend has been kidnapped by raiders and without the ransom they'll die, so guess what I've got to do now? I've got to go pull off some sort of rescue. God. Beforehand, I quickly pop to the diner to buy as many bolts as I can. I then start thinking about how I'm going to reach the federal ration stockpile. Well, I mean, I'll walk there, that's how I'll reach it ultimately. But I mean, I'll figure which location I'll fast travel to so that I'm nearby, but you knew that. After concluding that the diner was my closest location the whole time, I set off from there. On my way, I pick off some gunners who were just kind of minding their own business, but given the fact that they'd have shot me if they'd saw me first, I think it's all fair. Seriously, changing the buttons around has not helped one bit. I did not mean to do that at first there. After they're all dead, I happen upon a trader as I travel onwards and I do a bit of business with them. By that I mean I buy some stuff, some junk I don't actually need because I feel really weird if I don't buy anything. I have the same problem with real life shops. I sneak past a behemoth who's hanging about amongst some cars, not really doing anything, but I also don't really want to try my luck with that thing. And I finally reached a stockpile. Lot of raiders. A lot of people to shoot. I kill all the raiders, a legendary one drops a boxing glove that's useless to me, and I head inside. More raiders, more bolts to the sensitive parts, and quickly enough I'm facing their boss, who's responsible for the kidnapping, who really doesn't take a lot of work to take down if I'm being honest with you. Once she's dead, I quickly free my settler and then return home to report my success. Though before I report my success I redo the wires for the clinic because the game didn't save those because the game crashed. Once it's sorted, I pop into the Dagger Hut and tell Tim that I rescued his BFF. He rewards me with some caps, and I hit level 18, taking the 3rd rank of Rifleman. With all that done, it's time to continue the underground undercover quest, so I report back to Desdemona, also to show her that I'm still alive and shit. She directs me to Pam, who needs credentials that can be found in a pre-war laboratory, so I head over to the Cambridge Polymer Labs. No, I don't do the quest properly. I kill some ghouls and override the lockdown and kill the robot after stealing what I need because I can't be arsed. I report my success and tell Desdemona about her contact inside the Institute. Oh, I forgot to mention I met Patriot at the contact inside the Institute earlier, and a synth who wants out, but in my defence, it wasn't an interesting interaction. I pop back into the Institute and speak with Patriot to let him know that Desdemona is pleased with him, and then I speak to his synth buddy about the plan to get out of Dodge. Basically, he'll gather the synths who want to leave, and in the meantime, I'm to continue working with Father to keep up the charade. Oh, but first I need to help him and his freedom fighters get access to weapons, or rather the materials to make weapons. We do this by killing a room full of synths that don't want to leave so that the freedom fighters can use that room and the miney bit next to it to get the materials for their own guns. Not gonna lie, fighting synths is still one of the choriest chores that ever chored its way down a choreway. Once done, I tell the dude the good news, then head to Father for my next mission, again to maintain that illusion of allegiance, and he tells me about a runaway synth that needs returning. Oof, irony. And oh, golly gee willikers, it's the Libertaria mission again. I love that one. You know what, we're gonna leave it here for today. Once again, I want to thank you for watching. If you made it this far, tell me what image I just flashed on the screen. I'm not going to stop playing this game. I like this game. If you like this video, be sure to remember to give it a like and be sure to subscribe to see the 4th and final episode of the Crossbow run, which should only take a few days, but you know me, I procrastinate with the best of them. Anyway, that'll do. I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. Love you, bye.